What does it take to drum for Sum 41, one of the biggest punk bands of all time?
Oh, that's easy. First, never do a pound of and yourself silly.
Oh, holy it's Steve-O. Okay, well, after studying hundreds of hours of footage and talking to founding drummer Steve-O32, I found 5 drumming secrets that every drummer needs to know to get on the same level as Sum 41's impossible drummers. Now, there is a skill out there so rare and valuable that even some of the world's most famous drummers don't have it. Yet this teenage punk had it in spades. See if you can figure out what it is. Did you catch it? Well, drumming for Sum 41 requires the versatility of a Swiss Army knife. Because Sum 41 was just as influenced by hip hop as they were death metal, as they were pop punk, which is what most people actually knew them for. And this versatility has resulted in some insane situations early on in their career.
No sleep till Brooklyn. No sleep till Brooklyn.
Okay, Steve-O, you have a very eclectic drumming style that spans from hip-hop to death metal to pop punk. How do you feel like combining these 3 things into your drumming helped you during your time with the band?
Sum 41 takes from all those bands and creates our version of it, really. All those bands were hugely influential to us. And so I do think it's beneficial to look outside of the genre you're comfortable in and challenge yourself to explore new styles of music. And then if you bring that in, it makes it really creative. For any young drummers out there, like, get into all the stuff. Try all the things. Work on your technique, work on improvisation, work on different styles. I think that's all important.
Now, if you want access to my unedited conversation with Steve-O, click the link below and I'll send it to you completely for free. Now, I'm gonna rank each one of these secrets by difficulty so you know exactly what to expect when trying them out for yourself. So I'm gonna rank being a Swiss Army knife as hard but essential. Now, to be Sum 41's drummer, you need to have an insane level of physical endurance. I mean, just take a look at how Frank Zumo beats the crap out of his kit. Now, being an Iron Man is a side of the job that no one really thinks about. And I'm just gonna give away the difficulty right off the top here. Absolutely impossible. Because to do this, you need to take care of your body and treat it like an athlete would. And for Frank, that means this incredibly impressive pre-tour regimen.
I start by icing, doing like a full cold plunge, and then I'll start doing stretching. I'll do some guided breathwork kind of meditation. I'll do jump rope, light cardio just to get everything going.
And that's why Steve-O has taken an entirely new approach these days.
When I quit playing, I didn't play the drums at all for 5 or 6 years. And so I wanted to start playing again. And I remember I filmed my hands, like the first time I picked up the sticks in years. And then looking at them, I was like, oh, my hands look bad. Like they're super tight, my elbows are flared out, like I'm sort of hitting everything without any rebound or bounce. And I was like, that doesn't look good. Like, that's probably when my hands hurt. So I kind of made the connection between technique and injury and like the lack of technique and injury. So there's all sorts of reasons why I think learning technique is gonna help you. It sounds better, you won't hurt as much, you can do more, you have more dynamic range, you'll save in physiotherapy bills.
So what is the one secret that will not only help you avoid injury, but play looser and more freely behind the drum kit? Well, that is playing with good technique all the way around. Now, if you feel like your technique is holding your drumming back and you want the full blueprint to make massive technique gains, well then click the link in the description below and I will send you a free lesson along with the entire 40-minute conversation that I had with Steve-O. Now this might be controversial, but one of the most important skills to become Sum 41's drummer isn't even on the drum kit.
Drinking in the back of an El Camino with a skin. No one knew me by name. Just my own house party cause nobody came.
And Frank Zumo is not spared from this responsibility either. That's right. To sit on the throne for this band, you need to know how to rap while drumming. One of their very first hit singles, Fat Lip, required some insane rapping over some pretty tasty drum grooves. And Steve-O-32 took this to the next level by singing for Sum 41's imaginary band called Pain for Pleasure. Steve-O, I'm very curious if you could tell me the story for how you became Sum 41's dedicated rapper and lead singer for the iconic band Pain for Pleasure.
Ah, yes, my career as a rapper. We were super into the Beastie Boys. Like, we loved old school rap. We loved the Beastie Boys. And the whole hip hop thing, like almost everything with Sum 41, particularly early on, it started as a joke. This is what people did before cell phones, okay? Like, you would, you would stand on this corner and you would
just
make
rap
up silly verses for your pretend hip hop group, right? It was all for fun and games. And I just wrote funny lyrics, not to put on the album, but just to make the guys in the studio laugh. They're all dying. And they're like, let's put that on the record too. And then somehow it became part of our biggest song ever, really.
Now, I'm not saying to work on your freestyling abilities to get your drum skills up to Sum 41's level, but sometimes this can highlight an uncomfortable truth for drummers and really any musician in today's age, and that is that just being a good drummer isn't always enough to land the gig. These days, it helps a ton to be versatile on and off the kit. Take, for example, the Rev with Avenged Sevenfold, not only singing, but doing a ton of songwriting for the band as well. And Phil Collins famously pioneered the idea of a drummer-songwriter with Genesis. Not to mention his solo work and even his film scoring work, and giving us the most iconic drum fill of all time. But here's the deal, it doesn't always have to even be music related. Take it from me, I play drums, but I'm a pretty bad singer, I'm a pretty bad guitar player, and I'm a pretty bad piano player. So I'm not really bringing any of those skills over to my band I Prevail. But what I do bring is my knowledge of creating videos like the one you're watching right now. So now I can not only help I Prevail have better, cooler drum parts, but I can also help make better content, help make them better videos. So for you, start to think about what are the other things that you like doing outside of drumming, and pick one to really hone in on. Every time you stack multiple skills on top of each other, you separate yourself from the crowd and become impossible to replace.
Whatever your genuine thing is, lean into that. Because it's not just about being good. Like, especially in the music industry, it's not just the technical prowess. They like the person too. They want to know you. And so that you can't do it long term if you're not being genuine.
Now I'm gonna rank this one as frustratingly difficult because it's hard enough to just get good at the drum, but to develop one of your other skills alongside of it to bring more value to your music career, well, that takes time, practice, and a lot of patience, but it is worth doing. Anyone know what this is? Well, it's literally the most important skill that any drummer can have in this genre. Playing in Sum 41 requires craft singles.
Mouth-watering craft 2% milled singles. It's my cheese.
Ever wonder how this whole genre has so much energy? Well, one of the big reasons is the single stroke rolls utilized in most drum fills. And the beauty of it all is that the single stroke roll is the easiest drum rudiment that exists. It's simply right, left, right, left. But these craft singles are not limited to just your hands. Sometimes you gotta throw some singles at your feet. So during your time in Sum 41, not only did you have killer single stroke fills with your hands, you also had killer single strokes with your feet. Now, are these two skills that you had developed before the band, or are these things that you had to work on during your time with the band?
Listen, we started Sum 41 when we were kids. Like, we didn't have chops or anything at the time. It developed gradually, like by playing live. One thing that was really helpful is that we always played with a click track, so that made, I think, me play a lot tighter. And then the thing that got us to be able to do it was that we just started playing all the time. You have to do that. You have to, because it is a language and a conversation. And like, if you're just doing the exercises you read on a page, when you're actually with another human being on a trumpet and they go, ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba, like you can't go, okay, John Riley exercise beat. Like you just have to be able to respond automatically.
Now this is where the real magic comes in. When you are able to split up single strokes between your hands and feet, you unlock something called a fraction fill. Now a fraction fill is where you have a certain number on top, which represents your hands, and a certain number on bottom, which represents your feet. And this is how you unlock insane creativity in your drum fills. For example, you can find the 4/2 pattern played in Sum 41 songs like this. Or we can change that top number to 2 to a 2/2 pattern that is also found in Sum 41 songs like this. When you start to mess around with these fraction fills, you can come up with endless combinations. And the beautiful thing is, fraction fills allow you to play very fast fills at high tempos, but while maintaining a lot of power and energy, which is perfect for the punk drumming that you'll need to play Sum 41 songs. Now I'm gonna rank craft singles as easy because like I said, it's one of the easiest sticking patterns that you can possibly play. Yes, like everything, it takes time to master, but once you do, you can unlock a world of new fills that sound really sick. Now they say fills bring the thrills, but groove pays the bills. Everyone says that. It's a really well-known thing. Don't look it up. Everyone already knows about it. You can find countless hours of insane chops on Instagram, but you can't build an hour-and-a-half set around that. But what if you can marry the two? Well, that is something that both Sum 41 drummers knew very, very well. And this is especially true when crafting a drum solo to a big mainstream audience. All right, Steve-O, during your time playing drum solos on tour, how did you think about constructing them?
It's so much of it has to do with listening, you know? You really need to know the songs. Technical is one thing, but technical and musical together is always going to be better because the average listener, too, will be able to follow along if they can hear a melody in the solo you're doing. And you're mostly playing to just normal non-musicians, right? Most of them can't even play anything. They just like music. And you don't want to go right over their head.
Now, even though these are both fairly modern drum solos, they both feel heavily inspired by generations before them, like from John Bonham and Neil Peart. And what those drummers understood is to make solos that you can almost dance to. The beauty of these solos is there's an actual musical pulse to it, even when they're playing crazy chops. Let's take Neil Peart's drum solo as an example, where he starts off with quarter notes on the kick and then builds the chops around that. Or how Bonham built his solo around his syncopated beat in Moby Dick. Now listen to how Steve-O and Zumo start their solos. Both of these drummers have a steady pulse throughout the intros. Steve-O is playing a full groove with double bass, while Zumo is playing that quarter note kick with chops over it. But the key here is that both of these solos are enjoyable to listen to and can be understood by people who don't play drums. And as the solos build, so does the pulse. Take a look at what John Bonham continues to do in his solo. And Neil Peart. They both maintain the groove of the intro, and what Steve-O does feels like a nod to Neil Peart. And a very special thank you to the one and only Stevo32. Everyone, go subscribe to his YouTube channel because it's the best thing on the entire internet. Now, I'm gonna rank this as hard, but not nearly as hard as creating some of the most iconic drum parts of all time, like Chad Smith has. If you wanna learn some of Chad Smith's biggest drumming secrets, well then click here to watch the full video breakdown.